The president of the International Olympic Committee, IOC, Thomas Bach, said he hoped for a speedy consideration of the high-profile case of figure skater Kamila Valieva. The World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, has filed a complaint with the Court of Arbitration for Sport, CS, in Lausanne demanding that Valieva be banned for 4 years and all her results dated December 25, 2021, including the European Championship 2022, where student Atari Tutberidze won the gold medal, be cancelled, and Olympic Games 2022 in Beijing in the team tournament. We are constantly consulting with WADA. They contacted CAS. We really hope that the CAS will make a decision in the near future, and we will give the medals to the athletes who deserve them. Now everything is in the hands of CAS, Bach said at a press conference. Recall that during the Olympics in Beijing, Valieva's doping test was opened, in which they found a small dose of a prohibited substance, the heart drug trimetazidine. The figure skater, who at that time had already won the team tournament, was allowed to compete in the individual competitions, but the awarding of the team was cancelled. Thomas Bach also spoke about the removal of Russian athletes from international competitions. There was a discussion and serious consultations that we have been conducting since February, with the participation of international federations, national Olympic committees and athletes. Now we are preparing for the next consultations on Friday at the Olympic Summit. During today's discussions, the sanctions against the governments of Russia and Belarus did not raise questions from anyone. We received full support. They must stay. But we also had a discussion regarding athletes, about the impact this situation has on them. I will not tire of repeating, so that everyone can understand, the issue of the participation of Russian and Belarusian athletes in competitions must be separated from the sanctions against their governments. The question of the participation of athletes cannot be part of the sanctions, because athletes cannot be punished for the decisions of their states. The issue of athlete participation has always been about protective measures and not about sanctions in order to preserve the integrity of the competition and ensure the safety of the athletes of these countries, Bach said. Thomas Bach also said that sanctions restrictions on Russian sports should be extended. It will not come as a surprise to you that, after consultations, it was unanimously agreed that sanctions against Russia and Belarus should remain in place, Bach said. In addition, Thomas Bach said that French President Emmanuel Macron insists on the need for the presence of all countries at the 2024 Olympic Games in Paris. President Macron has said that sport should not be politicized and stressed, with regard to the 2024 Olympics and Paralympics, that representatives of all countries, including those at war, should participate, Bach told the press. Conferences following the meeting of the IOC Executive Committee. Following my intervention at the 20 Leaders Summit where I explained our position and dilemma, the head of the G20, the president of Indonesia, Joko Widodo, expressed support for the political neutrality of sport and emphasized the unifying power of the Olympic and Paralympic Games, the IOC chief added. At the end of February, the IOC recommended that international sports federations prevent Russian and Belarusian athletes from participating in international competitions due to the situation in Ukraine. On December 5, the IOC Executive Committee at its regular meeting upheld the recommendations on non-admission. The Court of Arbitration for Sport, CS, refused to disclose details of the preparations for the hearing of the case of figure skater Kamila Valieva, who is suspected of violating anti-doping rules. In accordance with its rules and practice, CAS will not comment on the current procedure, except for the date of the hearing, which will be published as soon as it is scheduled, the CAS press service said in an interview with TASS. Recall, on November 14, CAS registered the appeal of the World Anti-Doping Agency, WADA, in the Valieva case. In a related CAS statement, it was said that RUSADA did not meet the reasonable time to resolve the case, established by WADA rules. WADA's demand is to find Valieva guilty of an anti-doping rule violation and to impose a 4-year ban with the December 25 results annulled and her gold medal in the team event at the Beijing Olympics. Alina Zagitova again faced a flurry of criticism against her. The Olympic champion in a duet with Dmitry Krustev became the host of the Russian Jumping Championship in St. Petersburg, and many considered her work not good enough for an unusual and attractive tournament. The network has become a viral video with the reaction of Elena Tchaikovskaya to one of Alina's hesitation. The figure skater could not pronounce the word draw the first time, and the honored coach of Russia at that moment lowered her eyes and covered her face with her hand picturesquely. The level of the hosts was also criticized by the Olympic champion Elena Vaitskovskaya, calling the tournament a small-town skit with an indistinct, tongue-tied entertainer. She noted that all the efforts of the first channel, invested in the preparation of Zagitova, have not yet led to success. At the same time, the skater probably has a protective reaction from negative reviews. Enemies and ill-wishers are all around, and those who criticize are just jealous. Accordingly, it becomes impossible to convince a person that criticism can be constructive, that you need to constantly and hard work on yourself, that work in the frame is not only tongue twisters, but also many much more complex things. Of course, Alina has a big plus. She is one of the most popular skaters in the country with a huge number of subscribers, who, of course, will come to any project involving an idol. Again, you need to understand, as soon as the number subsides and new heroes appear, Alina will be immediately removed from the frame, Vaitskovskaya wrote in her Telegram channel. Producer Yana Rukalskaya also noted that Zagitova looked less advantageous against the background of the professional showman Krustev. I would really like to see her again on the ice and cheer for her. It's better to remain the queen of ice than to announce contenders for a new crown, Plushenko's wife wrote on her social networks. Zagitova, meanwhile, continues to work on television and tries different images during photo shoots. One of the latter is in an extravagant dress and with a bubble gun. An interview with Diana Davis and Gleb Smokin for the skating YouTube channel caused a huge resonance in Russia. In it, the athletes told as honestly as possible why they would not participate in any competitions in Russia for the time being, as well as about the prospects for changing citizenship in the future. As Smokin explained, at the moment he is waiting for an American green card, which will allow him to return to the United States without problems after traveling to competitions. According to him, the documents were submitted in February, but they are under consideration. All these years that we have been training in the USA, I have constant problems with entry. With a Russian passport, unfortunately, they treat young people very hard. I am constantly detained at the border. I hang around for 6 or 7 hours at some interviews. Diana is waiting for me with suitcases. This is a wild problem, said the skater. As for the possibility of playing for the U.S. national team, the athletes noted that these rumors are based on an understanding. All athletes want to be realized in the international arena. Of course, skating for years inside Russia probably doesn't sound very attractive to us. Again, even proceeding from the fact that our parents invest a lot of everything so that we train with the best, in the best environment, and this should result somewhere. This is probably the most honest answer, said Smokin. The skaters emphasized that their accommodation, training, work of specialists and flights to the United States are paid exclusively by their parents. If this is a conditional stage of the Grand Prix, then ISU purchases tickets. Europe and the Olympics were paid for by the Russian Figure Skating Federation. We then trained in Moscow, and the ministry was already involved in the flight. Everything else, at your own expense. Every penny, said the partner. Olympic champion Anna Shcherbakova posted a backstage video from the shooting of a photo shoot for Hello magazine. Shooting the cover of Hello. We'll show you the results soon. Which image did you like the most? Wrote the skater.